Hello and welcome to Tim Farmer's Country Kitchen. Hello, Mrs. Farmer.
Hello, how are you?
Is it not a beautiful day out?
It is nice out.
You know, it's a pretty day, and when we look around, you know, we think about patios over here, the cabins up here, and we think about friends and family that have been here and there and the good times we've had around
That's
here.
right.
Tonight we're going to talk about good times. That's what we're going to do. Now, since the last time we had a show on the air, your father has passed, and let's talk about Wild Bill.
Okay.
For just a second. And how in the world did he get a name Wild Bill?
Didn't you give him that name?
Oh, that went way before me.
Okay.
Wild Bill was out of control.
Yes, he was.
He enjoyed life. He was probably one of the smartest people I've ever met. He could look at a house, he could look at a site and tell you if the house was out of line. He could fix anything,
Build
gas,
anything.
electric, build anything. He was an amazing man, smart man. He liked to cook, he liked to make jam.
Yes, he did.
You can't sum him up in a short amount of time because he was a character.
Yeah.
He enjoyed his hunting and fishing. He enjoyed his outdoor time.
Music. Love music.
He was well read. He knew the Bible.
Yes, he did.
And he was just a talented guy, a musician.
Yeah. Good
He could
musician.
play anything, play
Yeah.
the trumpet, was the leader of the choir,
Yeah.
so on and so forth. You know, this is a cooking show. And when we think about certain things that we've fixed in the past or had in the past, we think about folks who came before us and they liked this. Maybe it was their recipe. Every time I eat blackberry jam, I always think there's nobody that made jam better than Papa
Dad,
Bill.
that's right.
He was a wonderful man. He was a great grandfather. Wonderful grandfather. Let's just show some pictures. Let's start the show off with a nice little thing that Kelly made for her grandfather. Just a little music video, some pictures, so you can kind of see who Bill was. This is a family show. You're our family, and you have shared in our good times and bad, and you know what? We're going to keep it on a good note, a happy note.
That's all right.
Here's a little bit of Wild Bill. Now we're going to switch gears and talk about that he liked to can.
Yes, he
and
did.
He liked to deer hunt. He took those two things together. I remember we had him on Kentucky Field. Now look at our kitchen about 10 or 15
Yeah,
years
it's a
ago.
long time ago.
This is the beginnings of our kitchen, and this is Wild Bill being Wild Bill in our kitchen, canning venison.
It's good meat here. I don't know what it is.
That's a big doe I killed, a big fat doe I killed.
Oh, this is beautiful.
Archery.
I take the deer, which is not usually this nice. It's got fat on it, it's got gristle, muscle, but I just cut it like this, and then I cut it in little squares, and then I just drop it in the jar. And I keep doing that. Now I do this in February and January because up in Michigan in February and January, you can't do much. It's so cold, you can't ice fish. So all this stuff is in the freezer, and I just start cutting it up when I have free time, And that isn't often, because you married men know you don't have free time when you're married. So basically now we've done enough to have 1 jar. And then what I do is I pack it in real tight. It is so good that we make it with barbecue sauce. We put it and mix it up. But our grandson, he eats it right out of the package. But now what we do, we push this down, put some water in, and then we take and put the lid on. Okay? And I'll take this over to the pressure cooker, which is right here. Now I have the small pressure cooker here, which will take a pint. Put the water in the bottom of the pressure cooker, put the lid on, let it start steaming, and then it starts jiggling. The little top jiggles here. And once it starts jiggling, you adjust your heat so it jiggles on a regular basis. And then you time it for 1 hour and 15 minutes, turn off the heat, let it cool for about 2 hours, and you're done. It's delicious. Really is. Tim tried it, and I figured if Tim likes it, it's got to be good.
Hey, fish is next. You got to figure the fish thing out. We want to can some
Yeah,
of
we
those.
could do that too. I've never done it.
Wild Bill from Michigan's canned deer. You can't beat it. In a little while, we're going to have some soup with that in it.
Sounds good.
Now, Wild Bill was on our show. He was on Kentucky Afield as well, and Papa had a Santa outfit that was really weathered.
Well, he had it for years with the it's probably 20 years old.
It was not a really
Right.
updated suit or anything, but he decided since he had it, he was going to be Santa Claus at one of our Christmas shows. And as Santa Claus, we came in with that Michigan ho ho ho, and he was handing out cans of venison.
yeah.
But he was an Indian giver.
He was.
At the end of the show, he wanted his venison back. 'cause
The
he
Moron
liked that.
Brothers' wives, they said that they were so excited and he took their venison back.
Take a look at Bad Santa here.
Hey, Mom, where's Dad? I haven't seen him.
You know, I've looked everywhere for him. I don't know.
I have no idea. I haven't seen him.
You don't think that
He didn't do it again, did he? You know how he is at Christmas. Party, a lot of people.
You know how he loves Christmas.
Oh, no.
Canned deer meat. Thanks, Santa Claus. I appreciate that. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas. We wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Now that was some classic acting.
Yes, it was. I love those
Bad
acting days, yeah.
Bad acting. But you know, a few years ago, we did notice that the changes were happening.
Yeah.
Actually, 10, 15 years ago, we noticed some things were changing. And I remember saying to you, I said, let's get him up here at the cabin. Let's sit him down and talk about some things. You know, you want to capture those times and those memories. And I'd been talking to him early in the day, and he said something about the ice truck.
Right.
I said, you mean the ice cream truck? He said, no, I mean the ice truck. And I said, what are you talking about, Bill? He said, well, you know, we didn't have refrigerators. We had ice
Right.
boxes.
Yeah.
Boxes. You still hear people saying,
I know,
check the ice
yeah.
box. So I said, let's go up there and grab this story, because I could tell the stories were becoming less and less and
Right.
kind of confused with other stories. So we went and sat down at the cabin, and we talked about not the ice cream truck, but the ice truck.
You know what? We got the oil lamp burning, and it's time to talk about the old days. You know, when I was a kid, I was always interested in things that happened way back when. I wish I'd have set my great-grandparents down and taken a lot of their memories and somehow talked about that. We got Wild Bill here. Nicki's dead.
Did you ever hear though, remember when we were kids, the people go by with the ice cream cones, they'd sell them, they'd ring a bell, ring a bell.
Oh, yeah.
And it'd be followed about 20 kids behind them.
Yeah.
Well, when the ice truck went through, the same thing, all the kids were following
Ice truck.
the ice truck.
Now see, that's what a lot of people are going to think, ice cream truck. No,
This
you're
was-
talking about back in the day,
It was ice.
refrigeration was not
That's all they
done
had.
with electricity. You had an ice box.
And they'd have a big thing inside loaded with ice in the winter, and it never melted. And they would come in and just haul pieces out.
So they would cut like pieces of the lake out, put it in an insulated building.
They'd bring it in pieces, all cut certain pieces.
Yeah.
And they loaded the truck, and when they took it out, they brought it to your house, they would come in and set it in your ice packs.
And you said the kids would follow it because they wanted a little piece of ice for a
They
treat.
were following the truck.
for
Because they had to
summertime
chip
treat.
it sometimes to make it fit. Everybody did it.
Wow. And what would it last? Maybe a week in the
I
ice
don't know.
box?
All I know, it melted and the water went outside.
And the truck, you said it was always leaking water.
Always leaking water.
Because
too,
the ice
yeah.
was always melting
Yeah,
as we were traveling
yeah.
down the road. Did you grow up on the farm, or did you kind of move to Garden
No,
City?
we spent our summers there when we were little kids. We went there when we were little babies. See, we were born in '35, and we
You were a twin.
twins.
Now, you mentioned that there was a kitchen, and there was a summer kitchen.
The summer kitchen was in when the hot summer, but the kitchen would heat the house. When you got up in the morning, you'd go to the kitchen where they were frying the eggs. Oh, there was delicious.
Well, probably wood burning stoves.
Well, yeah, wood burner stove, and they would make the wood burner stove. They'd bake stuff in it. That was hot heat in the house. That's the only heat they had.
But in the summertime,
In the summertime, they went out and back, just like a door here. And this room here was the summer kitchen. They did all the cooking out here. And none of the heat went inside.
right.
Just the meal.
Now, what do you remember as a kid growing up on the farm? What did you get? What kind of food did you get on the farm that you didn't get back in Garden City?
Well, in the summer we got green beans and peas and everything. And I used to go out and pick blackberries with them. And we'd make blackberry jam, all that stuff. We had gardens. They had chickens. They raised chickens. It was a self-reliant home. They had cows and they butchered, but the food was delicious.
You know, your dad grew up during the Depression, and during that time,
That's right.
food
They
was
lost
scarce.
three. They had 3 farms. They lost 2.
Wow. And during that time, food was scarce.
They did a lot of canning, like I do. You can't freeze. You just freeze your green beans and put them in the bank. That they never
The
froze.
bank?
The bank.
Now, that's what we talked about. It was kind of a root cellar.
It's but it's a bank, and you had all your stuff. All your canned goods were here. All your potatoes and everything. And you go in, open the door, go down in, and then bring out what you want. Nothing froze.
So it's down in the ground, so it probably keeps a constant temperature of
It
50
would probably be
degrees.
50 degrees at the max.
Yeah. And so they kept all the vegetables.
Everything was
everything.
fresh.
The bank.
The bank, and then they used to smoke stuff like with your smoky thing.
Uh-huh.
They would smoke the hams and stuff and hang them out. Well, they were out there forever.
Yeah.
Just cut them.
And then they bring them out and cut them and
Yeah.
put them back in there.
Yeah.
What were your chores on the farm?
Well, when we were little boys, our chores was just to entertain them. But no, they taught me how to milk.
Wow.
And I used to run the what do you call it, separator? When you have the
Oh, the cream separator?
it did that. We cranked
Did you ever
that.
churn butter?
Yeah, and butters. Yeah, and then we had the buttermilk, all that stuff. My fondest memory was picking blackberries with my aunts.
Now, did she make the jam and show? You
That's
still
right.
make jam. She showed you how to do it.
Yeah, and we put in a garden. I'd go out and pick tomatoes, and we'd pick beans. And my favorite dish was green beans with ham. It was delicious.
Now, your dad, he liked the old country music.
He did.
And when he saw the Moron Brothers for the first time, you would think if he went to a Moron Brothers event that he was watching Elvis Presley or
He
the Beatles.
loved the Moron Brothers.
Oh, he's out of
He had a
control.
T-shirt that they signed that he wore everywhere. It's still hanging in the closet.
He absolutely loved them. And you know, when we could tell things were really getting bad, the Moron Brothers were out here at the cabin
Right.
recording one time. And so we set some chairs up, and Bill had a front row seat.
His own private concert.
And he was so tickled to death.
He loved it.
To sit there. And he just had that smile. I was like, and he loved everything about him. So in honor of Wild Bill and his love for the Moron Brothers, let's run a little Moron Brothers up. This was that day.
Right, at the cabin.
I'm Lardo,
And I'm Burley,
and we're the Moron Brothers. Got a frog in my throat. My grandfather's clock was too tall for the shelf, so it stood many years on the floor. It was taller by far than the old man himself, though it weighed not a penny weight more. It was bought on the morn of the day that he was born, and always his treasure and pride. But it stopped once, never to run again, on the day that the old man died. 90 years without slumbering, life's seconds numbering. It stopped once, never to run again, on the day that the old man died. and its pendulum swing to and fro. Many hours he spent as a boy, and in childhood and manhood the clock seemed to know, and share in his grief and his joy. It struck 24 when he walked through the door with a blooming and beautiful bride. Then it stopped once, never to run again, on the day that the old man died. 90 years without slumbering, life's seconds numbering. Stop once, never to run again, on the day that the old man died. It rang an alarm in the dead of night, an alarm that for years had been dumb. And we knew that his soul was plummeting on its flight, his hour of departure had come. Still the clock kept its time with a soft and muffled chime. We silently stood by its side. Then it stopped once, never to run again, on the day that the old man died. 90 years without slumbering, life's seconds numbering. It stopped once, never to run again, on the day that the old man died.
All right, so Kelly's always been in show business, but she used to put on shows, right?
Right, she did.
What-
In fact, she was my dad's, one of his favorites, his favorite. And the kids would always do plays in the basement, so they'd always bring Papa down, and he marched and stomped, so they said, Papa, we got a special show for you. They put him in a chair at the end, and they had a pie. They all wanted to put a pie in his face, but when they put whipped cream in this, it wasn't actual pie. It all melted by the time everybody got downstairs. So they were all so excited. He sat in the chair, they slapped it in his face, knocked him over, the whole chair went over, got in his eyes, burned his eyes. Everybody was hollering, yeah, he couldn't see, but he still laughed. I think we even maybe have footage of that still, but the kids always were doing shows for Papa.
So we have to take each day one at a time and enjoy it. And if you have grandparents, if you have parents that are still with you, go see them. If you have a camera that you can get going and record something, grab it, because it, like I said, life is short. You know, one of the things I remember as a kid growing up, and it's a grandparent thing, you remember in the fall, I like about right now, you go out to the garden and see what's left. You
Right.
might find a couple tomatoes that are green, you might still have some cabbage, you might have an old zucchini. Oh, there's a zucchini left.
Right.
You know, you never know. So at the end of the garden season, Mom would go out and gather up whatever we have, and she would make Chow Chow,
The best Chow Chow.
or end of the garden relish. So speaking of canning and how much he loved that,
Right.
let's run this piece with Mom. I remember the smell of vinegar and all the stuff she's chopping up. It's that time of year.
So delicious.
Wild Bill loved canning, and here's Mom with her Chow Chow. Tonight is a special night. Miss Farmer will share her Chow Chow recipe. Am I correct?
You're correct.
That's what I'm talking about. Get your pencil and paper and get ready, because here we go. Mrs. Farmer, or I call her Mom. We got all these beautiful vegetables. Look what we got.
Yes,
All right, tell us what we do.
I like a big batch.
Big batch, all at one time.
4 cups of onions, 4 cups of cabbage, 4 cups of green tomatoes, 4 cups of sweet green peppers, 1 cup of sweet red peppers, and also you've got things like squash, you may have some peppers. Throw those in too.
All right, now I'm gonna stand back and watch you go. You're gonna take these, they've already been washed, and then you start cutting them up. I'm gonna stand the other way because you got a knife and it's sharp.
Okay. All right, I'll start with the green pepper.
Now, if you are watching us do this and you want to make this yourself but don't have a garden, there are so many farmers markets around Kentucky. And just about every town has a farmers market, and you can find those around the state just by doing a little bit of research, Googling farmers markets. you don't have to follow this to the T. As long as you have this combination of whatever you decide to put in it, you can't go wrong.
I don't think so. I really don't. Because, you know, some years you don't have a lot of one type or another. And so you put in something else. Whatever you got, you put in something else.
Now, Mom is cutting the zucchini up to add some to the Chow Chow, but Mom's got a little surprise for us here in a little while. All right, now you've got them cut up. You have to get them a little bit smaller now, correct?
Yes.
Now, what in the world have you got there?
It's a chopper.
A chopper.
It's similar to what my grandmother used to use. I do everything just about like she did. If you try to puree them, or you're going to end up with a soup. You know? So I do it the old-fashioned way. It just suits.
So you do it in the bowl, I see. So now, once you get it to this point, what's your next step?
Next step is to add your pickling salt.
I'm gonna put that
I think this is
in there
ready.
for you. So you put your pickling salt in.
Stir it up.
Stir it up.
Stir it up.
Put it in the refrigerator.
Put it in the refrigerator overnight.
So 12 hours. And voila.
Now we need to take this and rinse it and drain it.
Oh, really? Like in a colander type thing?
Like in a colander.
So rinse it so you get the pickle and salt off.
Put it in a colander, rinse it, let it drain, and then it goes to the stove. And put our 3 1/2 cups of apple cider vinegar and 1 1/2 cups of water, 2 tablespoons of mustard seed, 1 tablespoon of celery seed, 1 1/2 teaspoon of turmeric, 4 1/2 cups of sugar. You pour all of this over your vegetables and bring it to a gentle boil for 5 minutes.
You don't get it rocking.
You
just
don't get it rocking.
Gotcha.
It just needs a gentle boil. After that, you're ready to put it in your jars. You ready for me to start putting this in here?
Now, back on the burner, we have a large pot prepared to do what?
Hot water bath for your jars of Chow Chow.
Now, how long do you put them in there?
About 15 minutes.
15 minutes?
Yeah, 15 minutes will do it.
How much space you want on the top?
At least a 1/2 inch. I remember when I was growing up, this is one of my favorite smells. My grandmother would be busy fixing her Chow Chow, the whole house would smell good.
So you wipe your top off?
Yep, I did.
You do that so nothing will keep it from sealing, right? So nothing will bump in there? Now, when you say your hot bath, is that hot boiling water or is it?
You want it really warm water, put them down in here and let it come to a boil.
Gotcha.
And then start timing as soon as it comes to a boil. Then you start timing for about 15 minutes. 15 minutes should take care of it.
And there they are.
Alrighty.
And that's what it looks like. Now, this is a cooking show, and people might ask, well, why is it important that we talk about your father, Kelly's grandfather?
Yeah.
Because our show is family. And when we have our events and those folks come to see us and we're out shopping and we
Right.
talk to people, they seem like family.
They do.
So we want to thank you for going through this with us. It makes things a little easier. So many people have reached out to us and told us that they have been through a similar experience
Right.
or are going through that, and our hearts are with you too. We might be gone for a week or so. We have some things that we have to do,
Right.
but we'll be back with some brand new shows very shortly. And at this time, if somebody wanted to check us out on Facebook, is it almost impossible on this
It's
one?
almost impossible.
What do you got to do?
Just hit like.
That's it?
That's right.
And if you want to check out some recipes like Mom's Chow Chow,
That's right.
where would you go?
TimFarmersCountryKitchen.com.
Click the red button,
That's right.
subscribe, and anytime anything new comes out, we'll let you know. This show is all about good times, good friends, and Wild Bill.
To order a cookbook, please call 502-319-0487 or email timfarmerck@gmail.com.